Good morning everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Belinda here from Visualized NZ, and I'm going to do a book haul from the book sale that my husband and I went to on Saturday. And I've been dying to do this video but just kind of haven't had the space, and these books are seriously heavy. So hubby's gone back to work. Hopefully he'll stay at work today, but we shall see. So I've bought through not all the books, but enough to give you an idea. And where there's a series of books, I've just bought through one of that series. So I do warn you, it could turn into a lengthy video. I'm going to try and keep it brief. So in that vein, let's get a wriggle on and dive into the first lot of books. So the first lot of books are free ones. These were on a free table. This one is a classic furniture reproductions, and really I just got it for, it's got a lot of interesting diagrams and things in, and some cool black and white photos as well. It's got a nice matte paper, really usable, and I thought just interest to put in as journal pages because it's a really good size. Like this is super cool, and it's got added bonus of a grid. So I thought that might be interesting. Originally I had rejected this book, and then my husband picked it up and said, what about this one? And I ummed and ahed before I finally said, actually yes, I think it's worthwhile having. There were a number of these Reader's Digest condensed books. This one's I think 2000 one. This one's a 1960, I think. I wanted more, but hubby already had a huge pile of free books to carry back to the car, and we hadn't even got to the sale proper at this point. I was just like, oh yes, that one. And so I got him to carry them back to the car for me before we even started into the sale. This one I'm pretty sure was on the free table. Things have kind of got a bit muddied as we've looked through them. But it's a little book of poetry. Really nice thin pages. I think it's on the free table because it was held together with tape. And it's got all these different people's names in the front, which is super cute. I'm not sure of the date of this one. Like a lot of the books that we got are really old. Okay, 1946. Lots of super old books, and I was just in seventh heaven. This one, yep, this was the free table. It's a book of some sort of card game thing. I just thought it was interesting. You know, it'd be interesting in collage with the symbols and everything. It's got pencil marks in and some stains. Doesn't bother me. It's great. It all shows age, and it's interesting text. And this one is 1965. So, like, I say 1965 and think that's not that old. It's older than I am, but, you know, we're in 2022, on the brink, really, of getting to 2023. So, 1965 is actually quite old. So, there was this children's book, the Blue Fairy book. So, there's a... what do you call this? Oh, the words escape me. Where people write in it is dated 1944. And it's just got, it's quite thick pages, but it's got some beautiful illustrations. Some sort of print block ones, some colour ones. Lots of different stories, all the classic stories, and some that I have never heard of as well. So I got it more for the images, but yeah, fun book. And again, it's falling apart. Like the back cover is just completely adrift. Then there's this one, another little fairy tale book, again sort of coming apart. And 1971. Okay, so this is the same age as I am. It's again got some nice graphic images in, just black and white. Actually, green and white, or green and cream. The pages are sort of a creamy colour, and the images are in green. Well, I actually didn't remember that. So yeah, super cute. This one, which I can't read the spine of. This is one of the foreign language books I picked up, 1959, and I took it not so much because of its age, but because it's foreign language. But it does have some really cool plates in it as well. Beautiful ship image. So obviously it's about some sort of sea thing. I don't know, I can't read it. I'm suspecting it's German. Well, that's an interesting image. Waves and a rope. Okay. Obviously it has some meaning in whatever this book's about. Some sort of shipwreck or storm or something. Yeah, so foreign language books. I love looking for foreign language books. Quite hard to find here in New Zealand. Here's another children's book, Peter Pan and a lovely old book in 1940s. Again, quite thick pages, but it's got some beautiful little colour plates in there, or full colour plates I should say. And nice big text, which is quite fun to have different size text. And these black and white images. So yes, beautiful, beautiful old books. Then we've got another foreign language one here. Again with a whole lot of writing in the front in a foreign language. I'm not sure when this was published, but there's a date down the bottom here written in pen that looks like it says 97. So it's not an old book, but it is matte pages. And again, I'm thinking German. I just saw here somewhere it says Kaiser. So pretty much think it must be German. But it's got all sorts of really interesting images, like fascinating, some ads that are really interesting, some maps, and just like, it's really, really fascinating. I haven't had a deep delve into this, but every time I flip through it, I was just like, I mean, how cool is this? It's amazing. There's some really cool historical stuff in here as well, with some modern stuff, some like brilliant typefaces, like super, super cool. Just love it, love it, love it. And then there's this big book, the last of the free ones, which is an atlas. And again, it's foreign language. So foreign language atlas is amazing. And hopefully you can see how amazing some of these maps are. Like then there's some sort of regular ones, but they're still different to what we have in any atlas that I've ever owned. Just a really cool, different maps. And this really cool one. So these would be good in collage, or ones like this as a page in journal. Yeah, going to be super fun to work with. And, you know, it's no use to me in terms of anything else. I can't read what it says. I can't even understand the maps, really. So, like, super, super awesome. Okay, so that's those ones. Now I'm just going to go on to the ones that my hubby picked up. These ones are ones he paid for, and he bought them all for me, so it's super sweet of him. This is an Australian book on Australian painter, and I haven't been able to find a date apart from the date of the latest painting is 1950. So I assume that this book was produced in the 1950s, and it's just really cool watercolour plates. And my hubby picked it up because he thought I might be able to use these watercolour pictures. So that's the first wee one. Then there was a set of 3 of these, Reader's Digest Encyclopedia Dictionary. So there were 2 that cover the alphabet, and then there was one which is fatter, which is a dictionary of literature. So I've left that one out in the box and just bought this one in. Again, I'm not sure what date this is. 1964 it looks like. So again, it's just the type of page that I like to include in collage, layering up. Oh, lots of different languages there, that's cool. And some really cool images as well. I like these illustrated encyclopedias or dictionaries because the images are very useful as well. They're always graphic, beautiful graphic images of black and white. So yeah, so I've got 3 volumes basically of that. So these are going to last me a long time. And then this one is one of 3 volumes as well. So it's the outline of literature, 2 of these, and then there's the outline of art, which is fatter than the literature ones. This is dated in the front 1930. So not sure when it's published. The only thing about these ones is they are a slippery, not exactly glossy, but they're a shiny paper. But beautiful images, really old looking pages. Just, yeah, gorgeous. Gorgeous books, interesting things in them. Beautiful. So 3 of those, of the similar type of book of those. And then this one is the work of an author, I think. It's got very, very thick pages. I think it was 1920 it was published, and the author did these in 1910. Or was it an artist? I'm not even sure. Maybe it was an artist. I'm not good on art history. I never took it as a subject, never studied it. So yeah, I think it must be an artist. So these pages are like super thick and textured, like a bond paper, but even thicker. So probably not so much for collage because they are so thick, but pages in a journal, making pockets and things out of, they'll be perfect. And then these colour plates, which there's quite a lot of, and she says as she opens one that's black and white, and then this lovely tissue paper that's in between each plate. So very cool, and a lovely old cover showing its age. The next one is Isles of the Aegean, and this has a, I still can't think of the term for when people write in the front. It's really annoying me. It's dated 1934. So the book itself, I don't think I could find an age when I was looking earlier. Yeah, I can't find an age of when this was published. Again, it's got really cool colour plates in it. Different things, historical photos, little images, little photos. So yeah, and this really beautiful creamy coloured paper. So super fun. So 1930s for that one. And this one, Arabian Nights. Now I picked this one up several times. It was in the children's book box, and children's books were $1 each, magazines were 20 cents each, and everything else was $2. So you might get an idea of how much we spent. Okay, so this is an ex-library book, so it's still got the library pocket in, which is super fun. I did not realise that was still there. And I ummed and ahed about this. I looked at it several times, and by this stage I'd already got a bag full that I could barely lift. And I was like, oh, not sure. And then I went and paid for mine, and then hubby came up and he had picked this one up. And it's got some cute images in it of the Arabian Nights. and he thought that I'd be able to use the images. So I have a very sweet, see this one of the monkeys throwing the coconuts. I have a very sweet husband. He's very, very thoughtful. And I thought he was picking up books for himself, but when we got home, he says, no, he just bought them all for me to do with whatever I thought to do with. Okay, then there's this big one, which is the American Home Music Album. And it's old, and it's got all this beautiful fountain pen writing in the front from different people that have owned it. And it is slightly coming apart, and this is 1915, and it's just all sheet music in really good condition, like beautiful condition. There's the odd bit of staining, the odd little tear from people flipping through it, but pretty much it's in excellent condition, unlike the regular sheet music that comes in small booklet form. They're often very damaged and don't survive, they get quite brittle, but this is not brittle at all, and it's just wonderful. And a lot of it doesn't have words, and then towards the end there's words appearing in this sheet music. So like, I did have a look when we bought it home. There's something like almost 1,000, almost 1,000 pages. So 500, because they're double-sided, of course, pages of sheet music, and the big size, the same size as what you would get any other sheet music in. Just wonderful. Now, the final book that he picked up is probably my favourite of everything that we got. So it's very, very old. It's 1885, I estimate. It hasn't actually got a publication date, but the contents are basically a periodical, monthly periodical from England that was produced, and it's got 2 years worth. So 1883, every month in 1883, and every month in 1884. So I assume that it was printed as a book in 1885. I've got no reason to think otherwise. I haven't actually researched it. It was covered in plastic, and then this fabric, which this is the inside of the fabrics, obviously homemade, was made to protect the cover. It's got a bit of staining from the cover, and I just in love with this fabric. It's horrendously dirty, it's very fragile, and it's torn, but the age in it, obviously it was not put on in 1950. It was added 1885. It was added later, but how much later I have no idea. But it's old. Whichever way you look at it, it's just old, and I hope you can see the color of that, and it's just gorgeous. And I'm just not quite sure what to do with it, because to me it feels precious, because it's old. It shows age. Now let's get to what was inside it, because this is beautiful. And this is why we took the fabric off, because we could see this design on the spine, and we could see the silver, and it was like, yeah, we think the cover's worth exposing. And it's got this beautiful silver and gold embossing, and it's just, it's falling apart. It's had some of the same fabric to bind it back together, and which is since broken. It's a very heavy, big book, and it's just gorgeous. So these front pages, I don't know if you can see both of those, people that all worked in this paper. And the front, it's got to Leah from, not sure what that name is, January 1885. I think it's a 5. Looks slightly different to the 8s, so not sure. So in that case, it might have been produced like December 1884 even. Look at this stunning, beautiful image, and it's got some tissue paper separating things. it's just full of deliciousness. It's absolutely stunning. It's not going to be torn up. I cannot tear this up as much as it's already falling apart and damaged. This has got to stay. I thought it was a whole year, but that starts at 1883 at October. Maybe it was a weekly. I don't know. Shows how much attention I've actually paid. Yeah, it must have been weekly because that's October 13th. So full of these beautiful printed images, very graphic, lots of stories, facts, and one of the funniest things about this is the answers to correspondence it has in it. I'll see if I can find one to read out. It's got some beautiful illuminated letters. The answers to correspondence are funny. Let's see if I can read one out. Oh gosh, I can't pick out one that's would amuse you on the fly. Here's one. Like, you don't know what the question is, you just get the answer, and they've usually got a pen name. So this one is to an earnest inquirer. The answer is, we fear we cannot help you. Safe to advise the use of plenty of exercise and cold water. It sounds like something that could be quite modern, doesn't it? Yeah, some of them are quite funny, but yes, anyway, I could hunt for ages. And there's just like, there's the odd bit of music here. There's so much beautiful goodness in here. These illustrations are just amazing. So I will be looking to use scanned parts of this for creating digitals. Which is a lot of the reason I look for these old books, is not just to rip them up, but to look at what I can use for scanning that is out of copyright. And this is just a treasure. So it will live on our bookcase. We will find a home on our bookcase for our old books that we are wanting to keep. I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's my favourite. It has to be my favourite. Okay, right, let's get into now what I picked up. Sorry, I was turned away from the camera there. Hope you could hear me. Just trying to grab a tissue. It's quite cold in here this morning and it's making my nose run. So, right, take care of that. Right, so I've got a little pile in front of me of the books that I got. This is a little poetry book. Really cute little format. It's essays and poetry, is what it says. And it was 1946. Beautiful little thin paper. Really sweet. I've got books everywhere. This is a copy of Ben-Hur, and it's got a leather cover, which is tooled with this design around the edge, if you can see that. It's part of a library of classics. Doesn't have a date in, I don't think. Oops, pages are stuck together slightly. It's got some cool illustrations. I just really liked the format of the book and the fact the cover was so beautiful. So I'm not sure yet whether this will be torn up or not. I've never actually read Ben-Hur, and this is a really lovely size to hold. But this cover is just gorgeous. I did think that it would make a lovely altered book, but I don't know. We shall see. I mean, I've got plenty that I can use without wrecking it, so, you know, we'll wait and see. This is the Pageant of English Poetry, 1928. So lots of different poems. Again, somebody's gone through and underlined some stuff, made some notes. So lots of poetry in there, which I thought was fun. And again, the cover might make a nice journal for an altered book. This one, Quality Street, is a beautiful cover, and this would be awesome made into an altered book because of that. Inscription, that's what it's called. Inscription in the front is dated 1928. This has got thick pages in it too, and look, and artwork that they used to put in these books is just beautiful. I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's just gorgeous. So yes, very thick pages, beautiful colour plates, beautiful etchings, just stunning. Stunning. Probably not so much for collage, again, because the paper is very thick, but totally usable for other things. You know, never know. Might use it for collage or as bases for things. Okay, here's Hans Christian Fairy Tales, Hans Christian Andersen, or it's actually just called Hans Andersen's Fairy Tales. Isn't that interesting? We'll automatically put Hans Christian Andersen. Don't see a date quickly here, so not sure what date, but you know, it's got the same sort of look of that period, so early 1900s I would estimate, although sometimes it's surprising. Sometimes you think it's that age and it's like 1950 or 1960. Can be hard to tell, but I'm assuming it's, you know, early 1900s, early to mid, and it's got cool images. These pages are a bit thinner, so they're good for bases or collage. Really fun. I wish they dated all books. That would be so helpful. This one is falling a little bit apart a little bit. There was a number of Churchill books, and I would have liked to have got more, but I picked out this one as my favourite out of the ones, just because I was conscious that my cost was mounting up, and I ended up spending $30, which was more than what I anticipated. This is 1904, this book, and it's just precious. What else can I say? It's just precious. There is images in here. I'm just not able to turn to any easily. I'm probably just skipping past them. I'm not sure again whether I'll keep this intact or use it. I'm thinking I'll probably use it. Yeah, because it is falling apart, and the cover would be would make sorry, my camera for some reason is cutting out on me after a certain time frame, so I lost a little bit on the end of what I was saying, and I can't quite tell where I was up to just quickly, so I'm just going to move on. So I'm up to now to the box of books that I got taken out of the bag that I picked up. We got lots of magazines as well for 20 cents each, and these 4 volumes were in the magazine category, so I picked these up for 20 cents each, which is super amazing. I wish I had picked them all up, but when I was going through them I didn't actually know how much the magazines were, and once I found out I should have gone back and grabbed them, because like there's a lot of material there and it's great. So I'll show you inside those in a moment. We also picked up National Geographics, which I hadn't had any of, and a magazine called This England, which has got some really cool old historical images in there, as well as modern images, photography, poetry, and just general articles and images that are really nice. So this one I chose because I love the image on the front. It's super cute, little squirrel. And inside there's a mixture of photographs and advertisements and articles, gardening, all sorts of things, stories, like just heaps and heaps and heaps of interesting bits and pieces, like this sweet wee image of a bird feeding its baby. And in the back it's got some cool advertisements and lists of things and places. Just really super fun. Like, they're really cool. I'd never seen anything like them before. That was 1970. This one's 1961, which I think 1961, 1960. So the oldest one I got was 1960. This is 61, and they were published quarterly by the looks of it, because they're dated per season. So just more of the similar sort of thing. Beautiful illustrations and black and white photos and cool stuff. This one is the 1960, spring 1960, so they changed their format, their cover. The images are actually printed better in the older ones. They're higher contrast. The font's a little bit different, or the size of the font. But again, just really cool, interesting bits and pieces. Less images in the older one. And then this one is 1961. Again, beautiful images on the front. And just super cool. So for 20 cents, like, I'm mad at myself I didn't grab them all. I should have. I really should have. There was also... So like there were a number of boating magazines. I only got one, I think, of those just for something different. This is the This England magazine, which is really cool and really interesting fonts in it as well. So lots of things I can harvest the text out of. So it's super cool. Okay, now we've got this book, the Waverley Centenary Edition novels. Beautiful. Now this isn't gilded, this is actually metal pressed in, like it's actual metal. Like, it's quite amazing. And this is Rob Roy, and again it's got these beautiful prints in it. Lots of italic writing, which is interesting. I didn't notice that first up. It's got some plates in it. I think maybe they're called lithographs. If I get my terminology mixed up, I apologise. I'm not entirely too sure what they call them, but I feel like lithographs might fit. And I thought there was a date in this one. I thought 1880. So this is an old book. I don't feel the same preciousness about it as I do for the Girls Own Paper book. This one I probably will take apart, but I'm not in a hurry to. Like, it might just stay as a treasure. We'll see. But this cover is just amazing. It's actual, not surface gilding, it's actually metal. It's amazing. I've never seen that before. Okay, trying to get through this as quickly as possible. This is a A.A. Milne book called Now We Are Six. This is a reprint, 1955. And it's got beautiful, beautiful illustrations and some poetry and stories written by A.A. Milne. And it's got a bit of tape there holding it together. So I will most likely use this because it's just gorgeous. It is falling apart. It's got some scribbles and things in it, but it's beautiful. Super, super lovely. And it's the cover is actually bent as well. Please excuse me. I found this little one. It did cost me $2, which, yeah, for what it is, I thought maybe it was probably a bit pricey. But it's got this really cool design on the cover, which is fun. And it's in French. So, you know, me and foreign text, it's like foreign text, I have to grab it. But it's also got some really cool little sketch prints in there. So definitely, and then it's got a dictionary sort of translation thing at the back. Definitely be taking that one apart, and I hope to salvage the cover for something. Hopefully, I haven't looked at the binding, whether I can get it apart intact or not. Then in the children's section, so for $1 for the Wizard of Oz. And it's got beautiful illustrations in it. It is in 1989, so it's not super old. So I'll definitely use this, but it's got cool lettering, cool images, some from different ages, from different periods. So yeah, super, super fun. And made me think of perhaps doing a Wizard of Oz journal. And perhaps even in this cover. I don't know. What do you think of that? I think that would be something good to do. Then we've got an Enid Blighten storybook. So again for $1. Is there I don't know. No date in this one. It's got the images that are colour plus black and white. And then it's got a few colour plates. And it's got a lot of gollywogs in this book. But yeah, these types of images that are one colour plus the black and white, I think are really interesting. And look to me to be 60s or 70s for that sort of style. But there's no actual date, and I haven't had time to research any of these books to find out more. So yeah, not sure on the age of that one, but cool. And we have a little Sir Walter Scott Monastery book. It's called The Monastery. Little storybook. Again, one of a library series of classics. It's got some cool pictures. It's got lovely thin paper. Like what you would, almost as thin as what you'd find in a Bible or a big dictionary. That sort of thin paper. So there's that one. And there's this one which is slightly larger, which is Captain Cook's Voyages of Discovery, with some cool gold embossing. The front paper's been torn out, which is a shame. Again, part of a library of classics. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? 1925. And again, thin paper. And oh, that's right, this one I picked up primarily because of this inside it. Isn't that a nice little bonus? Isn't that super cool? So I don't know what TSS stands for. I might have to do a bit of research on that. But that's from 1931, that ribbon. And I saw it inside there, and it's like, I'm going to have this book just for that. Okay. This one, I think, was actually in the free pile. And again, I got it for the diagrams. And some of the images, like the grandfather clock that was back there, this chair, I would use those in collage, art collage. So that's one to harvest, most definitely. And then there's this one, Gone with the Wind. It's an old, oops, book's falling down. This is 1943. And just lovely old pages, quite thin. I don't know that there's any images in this one. No, can't see any. So it's a lovely big book. There's that one. Now we're getting to the non-fiction. I did not pick up many non-fiction books, but this one drew me to it for fussy cutting the images out. I thought they would be super fun. There's a lot of text in the front, but then it gets to these colour plates. It will give me a bit of problem deciding which side of the page because they're printed on each side. But I thought that'd be super fun just to have different ethnicities represented in ephemera. It'd be super cool. So, brilliant one to fussy cut that, and it's Folk Costumes of the World. It's quite a modern book, quite new. Well, I thought it was quite new. 1986. So, is that one? There's this one, a birthday book, which has not been used. Again, these last few that I'm pulling out are very modern. But what more do I say? Like, just so beautiful. Oh, no, there is one name there that I can see. So it has been used, a name there. So it has been used. That's okay. Like the images, just gorgeous. This one would be a bit harder to fussy cut, a bit more intricate. They are quite large, so, you know, whether I end up fussy cutting them or whether I just keep it to look at because they are incredibly beautiful. I could just sit here and flick through it and enjoy. They're just adorable. Adorable's not really the right word. They're gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. Okay. Then there's this one, which I don't know if I can bring myself to cut up. When I say stunning on the last one, this blows it out of the water. I got it to fussy cut, but when I had a proper look through it, and it's got cool font, it's very sort of similar feel to an Edith Holden. It's got these lovely watercolour images, this handwritten font. Yeah, I just don't know that I can bring myself to cut it up. It's quite thick paper as well. I don't think I will. It's just too beautiful. If I ever get a second copy of this, then I can cut up whichever one's in the worst condition. It's just too beautiful. I need to keep this. It is stunning. I do have an Edith Holden one, and I can't bring myself to cut that one up either because I've only got one of it. So that one, like, I think that will end up on the bookcase. Pretty positive that it's going to be. Okay, so then there's this one, Portrait of a Garden, and this is a New Zealand one specifically. I already have torn a page out of this one, and this one has a combination of these beautiful drawings in colour and a lot in black and white. And I've read some of the text, and it's actually quite interesting. It's very Edith Holden sort of style, noting things about the season, what was going on. One I read had the author going on about the neighbour's cows that kept eating her garden, getting through the fence. Oh, isn't that stunning? There's some poetry that's been quoted in yeah, so this one I'll definitely use because I already have started using it. It's gorgeous. Like, I would be happy keeping that as is as well, but anyway, I've made the decision. I have started into it. And then there's this one, A New Zealand Gardener's Notebook. Again, very Edith Holden style with beautiful illustrations and notes. And there's this cool little bee, all organised by months of the year. Some garden implements, so really good one to use for gardening type theme. And there are colour ones in this as well, I thought. Yes, here we go. This is colour plate. So just wonderful resource for images. Looks like there's a colour one at the beginning of every month. But these, like these vegetables, they're so graphic and gorgeous. Like, just beautiful. So, awesome, awesome, awesome. So there's the odd one here and there that I skipped. There's, I think, a couple that got missed at the end when my video cut out, which we'll just bypass because by the time I add these videos together, it's probably quite long. I do apologize, but I wanted to relive looking at all these and appreciate the finer details, which I haven't got to yet, and just share this wonderful haul. And I do have good news, is that when I spoke with one of the organisers of the sale, who brought round magazines that were left over to give me, all the old books that are tatty or which people generally aren't interested in that were left over are going to be popped out on outside the building and just for free. And she's going to let me know when that happens. So I'm super excited to go down and pick up a whole more bunch of old books that nobody else wants. And because we live in a little town, there's not like collectors that are coming out and having a look through. So it just makes my heart so happy that I can rescue some to keep and some that can be repurposed and given a new life. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this rundown. I'm sorry with the technical issues of whatever's going on with my camera. I need to sort that out. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.